And welcome back. You're listening to Hysteria, a podcast for Jeremy Strong apologists. And we have almost... Oh, Chanda doesn't really agree. Not a Jeremy Strong apologist over there.
I just think that's like a really bold statement. I'm not anti-Jeremy Strong, just bold on your part.
I think Jeremy Strong is a luminary. I think that he's a great actor. And I just to get a sense of how good of an actor he is, rewatch The Big Short. Well, don't watch that whole movie.
I hated The Big Short. Ooh.
I didn't love it because I had gotten my Series 7 and I already worked in finance. And I was like, we need to teach people all of these things. We are fucked. We should already know all the things in The Big Short. Anyway, but Jeremy Strong in The Big Short, legitimately sexy. Not pathetic in any way, shape, or form. He's cool and hot in that movie. And if he could go from playing that actor or that character to playing Ken Roy and all of his multifaceted patheticness, that's acting, man. You can't.
I think I'm too gay for Jeremy Strong. I think you've just convinced me that I'm too gay for him.
I appreciate the commitment. See, that to me is that is what seems queer about him. It's I drank that milkshake or whatever the fuck it was, and it was man, okay. So there's about it where I get that. I'm well, he's dedicated to his craft, and I appreciate that.
I wish everybody could see Fiona over here, just completely Tom Cruise on the couching about Jeremy Strong. That's a reference about Oprah Winfrey's show for old people. Okay, let's get in.
I'm not that old. Not that old.
I mean, I remember it. I think I was homesick from school that day.
You probably were. I was working on Wall Street.
Oh, very cool.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, let's get to Sanity Corner / I Feel Petty. Alyssa, do you want to kick us off?
Yes. Okay, so mine is an I feel petty / cry for help. So we had a very warm winter here in the Northeast, which means the ticks didn't die.
And
the ticks are everywhere.
Ugh.
Now, here's the problem. I live in the middle of nowhere, but not in the middle of the woods. I should not be having a tick problem when I head to the mailbox. But here's the issue, and this is my cry for help. I need a much better razor than I have because I got another razor and it's fucking terrible, and I shaved my legs and I cut them up, and now I think there are ticks all over me in the middle of the night because my legs itch because they're cut up. And also I've had ticks on me, so it's not a completely crazy idea. So our listeners have always come through for me when I've sent out the bat signal. So I am asking Caroline's texting me that I should laser. I'm not committing money to my legs.
I'm starting laser, but only because as I approach perimenopause, I'm growing what I would describe as a Robin Williams level of body hair. And I'm I can't do it. I need to have a professional get in there. So I'm actually on Caroline's side with this.
Okay, so that's kind of my problem, and I'm probably more Perry than you are, but it's a thing. I need a new razor, so Hysteria fans, please send me something that's going to be smooth and luxurious and is not going to have a handle that gets slippery in the shower, so I drop it. Anyway, that is what is on my mind right now.
Ticks. Oh my God. I grew up in
ticks and razors.
I grew up in tick country, right? I think my brother got Lyme disease. It was very common. Lots of people have Lyme disease. It's very common. But my dad was one of 6 boys when he was a child. And, boys are gross. And the more of them that are together and small and unsupervised in the country, the grosser shit they get into. They used to run through the field and have contests to see who could pick up the most wood ticks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy.
I don't even understand that. That's insane.
You just run through
Are they big or are they little tiny?
So deer ticks or bear ticks are the little ones that spread Lyme.
Oh, okay.
Wood ticks are the ones that are the size of a little bit smaller than a pencil eraser, so they're much easier to spot.
This makes me want to die.
Yeah, it's
Aren't those
horrible.
also dog ticks?
Yeah,
right?
They call them different things in different parts of the country. I'm sure.
The dog tick was in my hair. Thank God I let my hair go white because we found it quite easily.
Oh, that's awful. Also, we grew up, we had dogs, and we used to have to check the dogs for ticks. And when we were on vacation recently up Northern California, up in Mendocino, our dog picked up a couple ticks, and my husband made me look for the ticks on the dog because I know how to do it. It was disgusting.
Did your dog have ticks?
I'm never going outside again. You guys have just totally ruined it. I'm never leaving this room.
No, you have your reunion coming up and you got your hair cut so you look better than everyone else. You've got to go.
Check yourself for ticks and get your ass down there.
Get to Harvard. They need you. They need you there. Okay. Dr. Chanda, tell us what you're feeling petty about, or what is your sanity corner?
Oh man, I think you took some of it, right? Because I am going to my college reunion this weekend. So I guess this is like a little bit of like a Sani petty like together. So when I was in college, this may shock you all, but when I was in college, as I write about in the Disordered Cosmos, I was sort of treated by people like I was the village idiot. And so I really was. It was a very, very hard 4 years. And so when I went to my 10-year reunion, one of my classmates who also did physics major with me came up to me and was like, so what are you doing now? And I was like, well, I'm a named fellow at MIT. And he was like, oh, you stuck with that physics thing? That's very surprising. Like, really, like, people were still doing this 10 years later.
Jesus.
So I have been through a lot of therapy to like deal with this. And every time there's a reunion, Harvard does these like red books where people can basically write an essay about how great their life is, telling people what they do, what their spouse does, where their spouse got all of their degrees, the names of the obnoxious names they've given their children, and all of these things. And it used to be, for me, I would be like, oh, I really have to show that like I'm making it and that I've overcome and that their impression of me was wrong. And this time around, I just put quotes from books that I thought were really interesting. And then I was asked to be on a panel at the reunion this weekend, and I was like, nah, I don't need that. So I feel like this is both my sanity and my petty, which is like, fuck you guys. Like, I made it. I'm doing good. I wrote an award-winning book, and I didn't even need to tell you guys about it. So I'm feeling sane because of that. I'm feeling a little bit petty about it, too.
Hashtag growth. Hashtag growth. My 25-year reunion will be next year.
What year? Because we both went to Notre Dame, right?
Yeah. 05.
I'm a year after you. 06.
Okay, yeah.
Did you go to your 10-year?
No, absolutely not. I don't want to see most of those people, but I do want to see them now because I feel like I've aged well, and it'll be fun.
And also, I feel like it is fun to go throw back in their face.
Yeah.
I did go to my 10-year, but just because I had friends that were going, so it was like a place to meet up. And I will say what was nice is that everyone I spoke to was like, that's so cool. You get to write and like do whatever. I'm like, what do you do? It's like, I'm an ER doctor. And I'm like, well, that's important. It's like, yeah, it's not fun. And I was like, you're right. There's something fun. We at least have fun in our career. Everyone I talk to is like, yeah, I'm a corporate lawyer. It's like, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Wait, what dorm did you live in?
I was in Welsh Fam.
What?
What about you?
I was in BP, Breen Phillips.
That's so funny.
Oh my God. Well, you probably knew Carla Bell then.
Yes, absolutely.
One of my besties. Anyway, we can talk more about this offline.
Great.
Shout out to Carla who listens. All right, Halle, what are you feeling sane or petty about?
Well, so I just have something petty, and I think everyone has seen this. I mean, if you're not online, I'll just sort of describe it. So we've sort of reached the dregs of what the usefulness of like AI visuals are. And there's this week, I don't know why someone thought this was in any way interesting or compelling, but someone's like, wow, I used AI to sort of show you what's beyond the limits. So the example was like Mona Lisa. And it's like, look, I filled in Mona Lisa. And so it's basically just Mona Lisa, but then there's more background. And I was like, oh, you guys realize. Wait, say it again?
With no legs.
Oh, she's got no legs. Right, so it's like you've asked a computer to fill out a human being, but the computer's like, I don't know what's below the waist, and that's none of my business, but here's some trees, here's some more mountains. And it was like, I hope that if you're someone who has put money into this or think this is going to be anything, please know this is the end. It's over. We all see how dumb that is. No one needs that. Oh, I see a painting, and then there's more. Okay. Well, we already saw the painting. Like, what are you talking about? And to me, I was just so enraged to be like, someone has spent their time and talent to develop this, and I want you to know, if you're that person, it's not too late to pivot and use your skills for something else that isn't the dumbest shit I've ever fucking seen in my life. It sucks. So that was my thing. Go online and look. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. We're like, all right, I guess that's a human life. You spent your time doing this. I don't know.
Yeah, fuck AI. You know what? I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curveball. There's some Leslie Van Houten news this week that I'm feeling keyed up about, but we do have a Leslie Van Houten expert in residence.
Stan, I might say.
And that's
Fervent defender, apparently.
I wanted to yield my time to our producer, Caroline Reston, to talk about Leslie Van Houten, member of the Manson family.
Leslie Van Houten.
Girl boss, Leslie Van Oh, God. Finally about to win parole after many, many years in prison. Basically, a court overruled. This has been a saga. She was a member of the Manson family. Didn't do all the like really, really, really bad stuff that the Mansons
But I would like to hear Caroline talk about what she did do.
Yeah,
which I think is helpful to know.
So we're gonna have Caroline do Sanity Corner / I Feel Petty, but Leslie Van Houten edition. Caroline, take it away.
I'm worried I'm going to get majorly canceled for this.
You're taking it away from the Thanksgiving Day
for a
parade.
girl boss needs to have somebody in her corner. Go ahead.
Justice for Leslie Van Houten. Listen, she was a part of the Manson family.
Okay.
She did commit and conspire to commit horrible atrocities.
And okay.
Okay.
I love
Leslie-
all the disclaimers,
Is that
Caroline.
so wrong?
Say what you're going to
No,
say.
go ahead.
Leslie Van Houten, if you've done your reading, was 19 years old, one of the youngest Manson members. She is the longest serving inmate in California. She was, by all research, the least attached to the Manson family. She was there mostly because she was the girlfriend, I think, of Bobby Beausoleil. She had the least attachment to Manson, but she still lived in this very isolated commune, very, detached from life, really believing what was going on. She was forced to go the second night of the murders.
That was the Tate LaBianca.
That was the LaBianca murders.
The LaBianca. Okay.
Yeah, so she went that second night. She, in her account, saying she was not really wanting to be there, but was forced to get her hands dirty. So once everyone was murdered, she was forced and convinced to get her hands dirty and stab Rosemary LaBianca post-mortem. So after she died, she stabbed her 10 times, which again is incredibly savage. I'm not saying this is a good person.
It's quite a number of times.
Yeah.
But
That's
at
a
this
lot.
point, so her whole saga is quite different than the other women. She was only she was convicted of 2 counts of murder and I think 7 counts of conspiracy. She was kind of lumped in with everyone else, even though she was only really a part of the second night. Secondly, she later got a mistrial. She had like 2 more trials after the initial trial because her involvement was a little more murky because she technically didn't murder anyone, yet she was a part of the larger conspiracy. Flash forward to now, this woman has been the longest serving female inmate in California. She's been there since she's 19 years old. She has been paroled by the California board over 5 times. And California law says if you are no longer a danger to society, you should be paroled. She's been paroled 5 times, and every single time the governor has vetoed it. Look, this annoys me because the only reason she's still in prison is because of some fucking man. Charles Manson and his notoriety is the only reason why this woman is in prison still. If she was any other woman who did what she did, they would be out. So I think it's really unfair at this point for this woman who has served her debt to society, who has a much more precarious involvement in the family, is still in prison when I think she deserves to be free, live out the last 5 years of her life. She's done so much rehabilitation. She is a model inmate. She's clearly not a danger to society. I just think she should be free. So justice for Leslie Van Houten.
So Leslie also was free for a period of time. She
Yes,
was
in the
she,
70s.
She was released in the 70s, and she lived in Echo Park,
okay.
worked in a law office, attended the Oscars, did not do anything like no
Didn't stab anyone
no
even one
stabbing,
time.
not no dead or alive, no stabbing of
Which
anybody.
I think is a good sign. I will say my ex Dave did he texted me yesterday and say, would you be open to being set up with a woman? And I was like, sure. And then he sent me the CNN article about Leslie Van Houten's potential parole. So if she does get out, Leslie, I am single and I am open to a lot. So you just let me know. If you live especially if you live in Echo Park, that's just minutes down the Sunset. So
I'm sorry to tell you she is straight. I mean, maybe prison has changed her. But
Yeah.
well,
I mean,
you know,
life changes people.
life changes us all.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We go through different hormonal phases, and medical
Exactly.
science doesn't even understand it. So, you know.
I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Can I say one thing? I understand what I'm saying is sort of unhinged, but I have a lot of empathy in my heart. And I don't know if the rest of the world does.
No, I think it's completely reasonable to be like somebody who has been in prison for 50 years. At what point, like, what is the point of prison?
Yeah, what is exactly?
At this point, what is the point of it? Yes, I think that's totally
Absolutely.
reasonable.
Yeah.
Caroline, I'm with you. I just really enjoy looking skeptical as you talk about how the stabs
know,
were just
yeah.
post-mortem.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it? I would say postmortem.
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 No, you're saying it right.
You know what? That's a difference, okay? That's a difference between someone
I
dying
know,
and
I'm
someone
just
being
saying.
dead.
Watching the passion with which you say it I'm here for it.
Look, my brother's a public defender. He recently defended a murder case where the victim was dismembered, and my brother's defense was that it was in self-defense. The dismemberment.
Yeah.
The legal system, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a public defender. He
Oh,
panicked.
absolutely,
The guy,
absolutely.
The murderer panicked. But yeah, you know, whatever. It was post-mortem.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, if
I
Leslie
think
could wait until I'm dead to get to stab me, that would be great. If she could wait until we date, if I'm dead later, she can go absolutely buck wild. That's totally fine.
That's great. That's great. Well, I'm glad we
I will
established
say-
that.
Yeah.
Can I just add, as someone who grew up under California's 3 strikes law, that I think that this case actually exemplifies exactly what's wrong with the punitive approach to moral and physical transgressions in society. I mean, she's really at this point, it starts to look like torture, right? And she will probably, I think she has a better chance of getting out, actually, because people are talking about it, right? Like, she's the one who gets talked about in Hysteria, right? There's so many people who are incarcerated right now. And it punishes not just the person, but in most cases, it punishes their entire family when people are incarcerated. So I feel like this is a really good example of why people are talking so much about abolition right now.
And, you know, to bring it full circle, during our news segment, we talked about Minnesota legalizing recreational marijuana for adults. Part of that bill that just passed in Minnesota expunges the records of people with low-level marijuana convictions, which is like
Postmortem stabbings too.
Yeah, not post-mortem stabbings. That is still not legal. But
One day, Caroline.
Keep up the good fight,
One
Caroline,
day.
and you will legalize it, says Caroline Reston.
Legalize postmortem stabbings.
All right, that is all the time we have for this episode of Hysteria. Thank you to Samantha B., Halle, Kiefer, Dr. Chanda, Prescod-Weinstein, Caroline Reston, coming in at the very end. Alyssa Mastromonaco, thank you as always for being my ride or die. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in this week, and there will be more Hysteria for you next week.